Okay, today's memoirs and Exhibit 5, which is public information. Protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act of 1989, Petition Witness Protection Program, and of course the Constitution's freedom of speech. Even more, filed evidence of the bank's usual documented bank fraud, racketeering, and caught red-handed. All three branches of the government now allow banks to be above the Constitution and above the rule of law as international case law and ethic changes get out of jail free card. That your tax dollars funded to create, inflict, and allow, and your tax dollars for the public servants' salaries, benefits, and retirement until the day they die. You, as a tax-paying commoner, paid for the get-out-of-jail-free cards. You'd be a fool not to use them for winning arbitrations, grand juries, no bills, appeals, pardons, and paroles. Exhibit 5. Public service announcement. Proved beyond a shadow of doubt. Now anyone can add the correct non-initial count number altercations to any filed and recorded documentation anyone so chooses, without any party's initial approvals whatsoever. And you don't have to provide the originals. Now, they have the usual filing and recording in the correct county again, and filing and recording in the wrong county as double deed corruption. And again, as the usual, inside traders price fixing and collateralizing the same property twice and within the federal bankruptcy court proceedings and more. Now, any economic trader can refuse to prosecute and collect corruptions owed, funding, fines, retribution demanded under the U.S. Constitution's Section 4, public debt, and authorized by law to be paid as bounties for services in suppressing insurrection and rebellions, and shall not be questioned to the U.S. Treasury, to the SEC, and or to the victims thereof. To increase the tax burden against the already overtaxed tax-paying commoners by letting corruption off the hook. Oh, we're all in this together, but world economic treason is still world economic treason. Regardless of who, how, and or why any economic traders, insurrections, or rebellion as world economic treason to collapse world economies, world stock markets, and world bank runs, the mathematic end results are in fact the same collapsed economies. Regardless if it's the U.S. Constitution's foreign enemies of the usual warlords, dictators, and our politicians' world economic treason. Regardless if it's the U.S. Constitution domestic enemies from within, turncoats, and or economic traders' world economic treason. Regardless if most nations refuse to govern within the nation's means, whose world economic treason as insurrection or rebellion continues to overprint fiat money's inflation and over taxation, hell-bent on collapsing their own economy and any nation's economies. Mathematically, the economy's end results are in fact the same. Now, a politician walks into a bar, bragging and buying drinks all night long for everyone on an unlimited credit card. we awake the next morning with an economic hangover, realizing it was our own credit card. Once again, repeating the same violent world, same violent history over and over again, which will inevitably force the usual tax-paying commoners into marching into the same wars in humanity of human sacrificing. Via the same lynch mob mentality, the same saber rattling, and the same wars in humanity inflicted by politicians' prior negative cash flow choices. To rape, murder, and plunder assets to temporarily prop up yet another economic traitor's self-inflicted and failed economy. While again, starving women and children and the elderly to death. When tax-paying commoners elect, employ, and or fund economic traitors, insurrection, and rebellion as public servants, what the hell did you think was going to happen? Again, when it economically hits the fan, and mathematically it will hit the fan, when investors quit investing in T-bills to support fiat-papered money, as the usual food shortages and starvations, then comes the usual rioting and killings in the streets and the usual dictator wannabe civil wars to try to take over and have them fleece the tax-paying commoners. Your alleged allies, as confirmed in Artho Economics Chapter 4, will in fact turn state's evidence against you and their fellow economic traitors who subjected themselves to the demands of economic traitors' rule of law, which may or may not include public executions. In exchange for a lesser sentencing, reduced fines, and or having life itself. For there is no honor amongst thieves.